to the Cowboys, and I know Kelly will have a bunch of questions as we get into these Cowboys. You were there in 2007.
Yep.
So I know I get fueled up in 2000. I don't know if you get amped up in 2000. Kelly, you get amped up about 2007? I mean, this
Always.
was, for Cowboys fans, 27 years in waiting. If I ever go to a season and say, boy, we had our shot as an organization, and man, we came up short, was 2007. How good was that team? I think they had like 11 or 13 Pro Bowlers that year.
No doubt. The team we were, I was backing up Tony Romo. I was near the end of my career. I was almost toast. But Tony, that was the first year he was really took over as the starter. That was his team. And Wade Phillips was the head coach. And I actually loved playing for Wade Phillips. I mean, he was so organized. He let the coaches coach, the players play. He ran a great practice schedule, great training camp schedule. Love playing for Wade Phillips, one of my favorite of all time. And that year we were 13-3, dominant on offense. Tony was lighting it up. You said 11, 12 Pro Bowlers that year. Defense played tremendous. It was just a magical year, to be honest with you. And if I could go right, we remember the game went up to Buffalo. I think Tony had 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
And we found a way to win that game. Like, it was that year. And Tony, that was the greatest plane ride I've ever been a part of.
Yes.
Tony had the iPod music just blasting like nothing had ever happened. I mean, it was a fun group of guys to be with. And Jason Witten became one of my best friends and all those kind of things. But we got to the playoffs, had the number 1 seed. New York Giants, they kind of got into the playoffs. They went down and beat Tampa. Yeah. They came to our place, and it was just a great game in that playoff game. And it could have gone either way. There were 2 or 3 plays that just changed the whole game. We had a offsides. I think about our 40-yard line. It was a 3rd down call. They went a hard count, got us, and then jumped off sides because they were going to get ready to punt the ball, then end up scoring. And then we actually had a fake field goal that we were going to run in that game. And it was the first time that their team, the Giants, had lined up in a certain – it's like they knew. Like it's like they knew something. But could have gone both ways. And they ended up beating us. They beat Green Bay at Lambeau Field the next week in the cold, and then they won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But it was a tough loss. That was one of the best teams I was ever part of.
Wow. And Kelly, you had any questions on the 2000 team before I jump in?
Well, just to go back to that Buffalo game, the 5 interception game, just because I remember that game, and I mean, as you're watching that kind of unfold, because that was Romo's first full year as a starter. He'd taken over partway in 2006. I mean, was there at any point in that time, were you thinking, I'm about to get put in this game, or were they just feeling like they were? I mean, 5 interceptions. I mean, I don't know that you can get much worse as a quarterback throwing 5 picks.
Tony was playing great. That was the thing. Like, he was making plays all over the field. And he'd tell you, like, oh, my gosh, this happened and that happened. Like, it was kind of weird. You know what I mean? But Tony had a motor that he would not quit. He would not give up. And it was contagious within the team. Loved playing with him. It was a crazy game with interceptions. You know what I mean? But you got to – sometimes they happen. You got to pull the trigger, and you just got to go. And I do remember at the end of the game, we actually kicked Nick Folk was our kicker. And I think we drew him off sides or something like that. And he ended up hitting 2 56-yard field goals he had to hit them in a row and to win it. And I can't tell you how great that plane ride home was.
I think it was a Monday or Sunday night game. I remember it was a night game because I remember
Sunday night game.
But the funny thing is, talking about Romo and just, I've always said, he was a victim of being a Dallas Cowboy. And that's why I'm curious of your thoughts of the road show and the pressures and how much pressure do you see in Dallas that you don't see in other places? Because I'll stand by it. If he was on any other team, he would be looked at as just an amazing story of a guy who was undrafted. He was on the practice squad. He kind of moved himself up to become one of the better quarterbacks in that generation, one of the top quarterbacks in the generation. But because he played for the Cowboys, it's almost, and I will get into it a little bit later with Dak, is the pressure in Dallas just so much where these guys, if you don't win a Super Bowl, man, you're a loser. And that's just the way it is,
Yeah. I think, well, listen, I think Tony got a lot of hype in Dallas, good and bad. But I thought Tony was a hell of a quarterback. I mean, he was tough. way more athletic than people know of. I mean, honestly, like he was the best playmaker. I played with Rich Gannon, Jim McMahon, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, like the list goes on. Jeff George, like he was the actual best playmaker that I was with. I remember we had a game against St. Louis, and the ball was snapped over his head about 20 yards or 30 yards, and most quarterbacks would fall on it. And he picked it up and ran for about 45 yards back. And I remember him telling me about it. He's like, yeah, Brad, most people, quarterbacks just fall on it. So the defense, they'll just like, they'll ease up. So they didn't think I was going to run with it, but he did. You know what I mean? That was kind of Tony,
Yeah.
but just a great player. And so, you know, the hype in Dallas, it is. It's America's team. Okay, listen, ESPN, they got an office in the headquarters there. They're going to be you're going to be on ESPN every day.
Yeah.
You're going to be covered. And it's going to be, you know, with Jerry Jones, it's all news is good news, good or bad. It's coming out, and you know, it's the hype of it. You know, I remember coming to training camp. There's 3 trucks of memorabilia, of hats and T-shirts, and you know, all the above. Like, and you go, you know, on the sidelines before games. It looks like a Super Bowl every week. Like it's 100 people, you know, stars and celebrities on the sidelines. So the hype is there, but in the end, it's the same. It's organization is the same. It's hard work. You got to earn your keep. Got to earn your way. And unfortunately, we didn't do it at the time. But it's definitely, it gets more hype. You know, with Dallas, you're going to have the night games. You're going to have the 4:00 game. You're going to have the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. Like, with an average team like Tampa Bay before Tom Brady got there, you're going to have the Sunday at 1:00 game.
Mm-hmm.
With Dallas, it doesn't matter who the quarterback or how good or bad the team is. You're going to have night games. You're going to, you know, you're going to be. It's the hype that comes with it. And that's, you know, with Jerry Jones too.
And how was Jerry Jones as an owner? I mean, did you interact with him much, or do you see him being just? You know, a lot of people kind of put it on him a little bit. Do you see him being some of the I don't want to say the issue, but just the distraction that maybe is stopping this team from winning? I always say it's the players play, man. The owner, I mean, it still comes down to the players, but I hear a lot of that, and he gets a lot of heat for it. I mean, do you notice anything different, or is it negative, or?
No, I like Jerry. I mean, he was fun he'd come in the locker room, he'd sit down and by your locker, he'd talk to you, or on the practice field, he'd kind of hang out and, you know, say something, and just pretty normal guy when it came to all that kind of stuff. But Jerry's going to do the interview after the game. Mm-hmm. He's going to be in the locker room. He's going to have the first interview. He's going to have more press than some of the players are, you know. But I like Jerry, and I appreciate him. And I actually remember him coming down the sidelines, and I was talking to him one time, and I was telling him, hey, the plays we're going to throw to the right on this. We're throwing this ball to T.O. This ball is going to be a run. And he said, Brad, I don't care about all that. I'm just down here to cheer for the team, you know. And so I enjoyed playing for Jerry. Got a lot of respect for him. And I'll be honest with you, when I left, I was only in Dallas 2 years, and they let me go at the very end. I was done. I mean, my knees were gone, arm was done. But he called me and just said, Brad, thank you for being a Cowboy. And obviously didn't go where we wanted to go, but you know, anytime you need a job, or if I can give you a resume builder or whatever it may be, just always feel free to contact me and call me. You just felt that connection a little bit with Jerry.
Yeah. And the nice thing is I don't know, I know this. You had one win in Dallas. You know who you beat, right?
I beat Tampa, no doubt.
They had to feel good.
Yeah, I beat Tampa in a Minnesota jersey, a Washington jersey, and a Dallas jersey. So don't let them tell you they did everything down there. I beat their ass too.
And the beauty of it is you did something I don't know if any Cowboy was able to do. Is you got Roy Williams a touchdown.
That's right. That's right. Threw him a fade. Threw him a fade on the goal line right at the end of the half. So
I was at that game. I remember it. Oh man, but just finishing up on Dallas, I was curious because I wanted to know how you felt about Jerry, because I don't know if you know, we're close to Jerry, and I got Jerry Jones wants to come in and talk to you, and he wants to just kind of say a few things to you about your career in Dallas and maybe your NFL career. So Jerry Jones, can you join the show?
Well, Bradley, it's been a long time, but I just wanted to say you were always a class act with the Dallas Cowboys. I couldn't have been more proud. When I brought you in to the organization, I thought we had ourselves, I said, this is a prize stallion, a man who's been to the Kentucky Derby and won it. and I figured you'd been able to rein in that young colt in Tony Romo. And the only bone I would have to pick with you on that is going into the playoffs here now. Romo and Witten head on out to Cancun, and I was thinking, my guy Brad, where were you on that one? I mean, I'm not saying you cost me a 6th Super Bowl, but I figured you wrap them youngsters on the head and say you can't go to Cabo on the bye week when we got a big game versus the Giants the next week. But I mean, what are you going to do? I guess when it comes down to it, all things are forgiven, and it was great having you on the team.
You're better than Jerry.
He does a phenomenal Jerry Jones. He even got Jimmy Johnson retweeted one of his things. It's like, man, you do an impeccable Jerry Jones. But yeah, I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
I love it. Golly, you fired me up. I wish I would have been down there in Cabo myself. They had a good time.
Speaking of that though, like, do you think that, because they got a lot of heat for that after that, they got, go in there, your number 1 seed, lose that game. Obviously there's some plays that could have, swung in our favor, like you had said, where we could have won that. But do you really think that, do you think that has any type of effect on it, the fact of players? Because you always hear about what players should be doing in their off weeks and stuff. Do you think that has anything?
Great time, and thanks for joining in. See you, Kelly. Sign off.
Yes, sir. Cowboys Nation, tune back in for another one next week.
All right. Take care, man. Yeah, let me bring it back.
You know your boy's going to be there. You know I'm going to be hyped. I need you guys to be hyped with me. You feel what I'm saying? Now, can you dig it?